Hello and welcome to the Brothers Random Show. My name is Travis,
I'm Michael.
and we are two ordinary brothers discussing extraordinary ideas and some random shit. So the topics on this show range from theology, masculinity, stories, movies, philosophy, books, pop culture, and many other subjects. We often talk about the people we admire and the wisdom they share. People such as Dr. Jordan B. Peterson, who we believe is the sage of our time. Michael, why are we here?
Today we're talking about gratitude, an episode that we'll be putting out on Thanksgiving. So we figured that talking on gratitude would be a good subject
Appropriate
to discuss. Appropriate.
Yeah. So being thankful is something that comes very difficult to me. I often just struggle with gratitude. Guess I should say the rule 12 in Dr. Peterson's last book that he published, which was Beyond Order. The subject is be grateful in spite of your suffering. And he talks about his illness in it, and he talks about how you cannot change your circumstances. You can only change how you react to them, which is basically a Stoic philosophy. I think Marcus Aurelius said the same thing in what was his book, Meditations. It comes difficult to me, and I really want to do better at it. So we're, the subject that we're choosing today is appropriate for Thanksgiving, because I mean the whole point to Thanksgiving is just being grateful for all the things that you have in your life.
And it's a good discussion to have. This is a problem I think we have in our society right now. A huge problem just with younger generations, but also, I mean, think about how we do Thanksgiving. This is what we do. It seems like we do Thanksgiving and then we have Black Friday.
Yeah.
Where people literally, and I've done it before, and it's had, it's fun moments where I stayed out all night, after Thanksgiving dinner, went out with some buddies, and we, stayed out in line
what were
all
you
night
after?
long.
What were you buying?
I was just there. My buddy was buying like an Xbox, and
okay.
I was just there
for moral support.
I was just like, all right, cool, I'll come hang out with you guys. I ended up buying like some socks or something, but
it's such a bizarre notion, right? We go from Thanksgiving right to Black Friday. That is basically like
need to get all this shit.
Yeah,
Let me get all this shit. I need it.
I need all this shit, and it's like, it's ironic, really. And when I was growing up, it wasn't like that, because Black Friday wasn't a thing.
We also lived out in the middle of nowhere, where Black Friday, like going shopping, wasn't really like, it was
a thing.
Yeah. It's like you went to the nearest grocery store.
Yeah.
And then when you eventually got to a big city where there was a Costco, then you
would
buy
stuff.
all that you needed for like the month.
Yeah. It's become a thing, I would say, in the last 25 years, maybe 30 years, where Black Friday is the thing. Like, and literally it's the day after Thanksgiving. So it's like we do all this. I'm thankful, and the tradition in my house is to go around the table and basically say what we're thankful for. And
I'm pretty sure there's been people like who basically got trampled to death.
Yeah.
On Black Friday. It's happened a few times.
It's happened a few times. I remember one year, I think it was before COVID. It would have been like 2018 probably, and there was a guy who got trampled to death. I think he was an older gentleman, but everybody was in line for Black Friday, and then he basically he fell and couldn't get back up, and that the greediness of that is so beyond. And gratitude and greediness are like the complete opposites of each other. So there's gratitude, and you're showing gratitude and thankfulness on Thanksgiving, and then literally the day after, it's kind of gross, really.
So I just looked this up, and it looks like Black Friday death count is 17.
Holy crap.
And 125 injuries.
I was thinking like
so the
2.
First one that comes up is in 2021, a shooting at Northeast Austin Walmart.
That's a mass shooting then.
Was it a mass shoot? No, it was deaths. One death.
Oh, okay.
2 killed on Black Friday in business downtown East Chicago. That was 2.
Leave it up to Chicago for that.
Tacoma Mall food court Friday night. Injuries, that's 1. So that wasn't a death, that was an injury. So I mean, there's 2 people stabbed at Macy's and Destiny US. Oh my gosh, geez. Yeah, so brawls closed Alabama shopping center.
Well, and it kind of shows where our society's heads are at, right? It's about me. It's a narcissistic society. You look up online and everybody's talking about themselves and that sort of thing. So, I mean, what we're here to talk about, is gratitude.
I just find it ironic that we do.
Yeah.
So I think it's a problem in our society, especially, and it's shown in the fact that Black Friday is so huge. And I mean, literally, sometimes people, now these are deaths that would have just happened other days,
on other days,
not necessarily. Yeah. I was trying to read through, but I thought there was one where somebody just got trampled by all the people trying to go get the deals.
Yeah.
So anyway, that's not what we're here to talk about, the woes of Black Friday. But we need to like calm it down, especially we've got everything, conservatives aren't grateful because they're griping and groaning about the X, Y, and Z. And then the liberals are griping and groaning about X, Y, and Z. Gen Z is just like, complaining about everything, from climate change, et cetera, et cetera. So we need to all take a step back and be thankful and be grateful. The nation that we live in, the things that we have, the opportunity, food is abundant, right?
Yeah.
Food, the mass amount of food is more of a problem than less of a problem in the United States, at least.
Yeah.
Where obesity is a bigger problem than starvation.
Well, and that's part of what Thanksgiving is it's just this feast, and it's a feast of abundance, and you're supposed to look at the feast. Like the whole point is to look at the feast and go, isn't this amazing? I'm so grateful we have this. So you can imagine when the pilgrims came over, and food was probably the number one problem. Getting it, cultivating it, having it, enough of it. So you if you had a bad crop one year, you were starving the rest of the year.
You might die. You might kill you. You might die.
Kill you. Yeah. So your whole existence focused on trying to cultivate food. And what do we have in abundance in this country? We have a bunch of food. And in fact, there's more waste of the food than there is like it going to a good place, really.
Yeah.
So
there could be some arguments on like most of our food is garbage.
Yeah.
That's
true.
Yeah.
Yeah.
But they are calories, and nobody would starve.
And I mean, it's rare to go into this country and find somebody who's starving.
Yeah, and it could be on the rise. I'm not sure. I haven't looked in the stats there, but anyway, talking to gratitude, we ran across this guy, Dr. Joe Dispenza, and it was interesting listening to some of his interviews. But I actually read a good portion of his book back in the day. His book, Breaking the Habit of Being Yourself.
And he's got a ton of videos about gratitude in it.
Yeah, he goes on to a lot of interviews. He's like on the Diary of a CEO. I didn't look to see if Chris Williamson has had him on, but if he hasn't, he should get him on.
Yeah,
sounds like. But he talks a little bit to, and I don't know if the doctor is a real doctor. He might be kind of just a guru. But he talks a little bit about the physiology that can change in a person when they become
grateful,
when they're exuding gratitude.
Yeah.
Lowering cortisol. And there was another hormone that he was talking about that it ups.
It's dopamine. It's probably dopamine.
And something different, but it actually improves your immune system
when you start being really grateful.
Yeah.
Well, and it's a paradigm shift, right? People are supposed to, if you start doing this, and I'm guilty of not doing this, but if we were to both start doing this, like, I wonder, like, the changes in your brain, what would happen if you were just I think it was the Chicken Soup for the Soul author. I can't remember. I heard an interview with him once, and he said that he gets up every morning and before he does anything else, he points to things that he's grateful, or he thinks about things that he's grateful for. And he just says it out loud. He says, I am grateful for this. Like, I'm grateful for my wife. I'm grateful for my children. I'm grateful for this. I'm grateful for the abundance that I have. And as you do that, he says your brain shifts into a mode of gratitude. And so you're constantly always talking about how grateful you are. And if you think about it, how often do you actually hear people talk about being grateful? Most of the time people complain, right?
Yeah, I would say most discussions are going to be on what's bad that's happening.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, and think about just our 24-hour news cycle. Everything
is all negative.
It's all, and I want to say back in, it's like 2010s, 2010, somewhere around there, that there was a news organization that was trying to base all of their news off of good news. They were trying to kind of reverse the narrative.
Okay, so this is interesting because do you know who John Krasinski is, the actor?
Oh, shoot. You'd have to point out.
He's in like The Office, and he directed and wrote the Quiet Place.
Okay.
The first and second Quiet
Place. Yeah.
So he's fairly well known, and he's Jack Ryan in on the Prime, Amazon Prime show.
Married to Emily Blunt.
So
Quiet Place. She is awesome in The Quiet Place.
Yeah, she is.
Love that.
She's awesome in Edge of Tomorrow too. So she's just awesome in everything. So during COVID, they started a YouTube channel called Some Good News. And it was
So, ladies and gentlemen, this is your fault, and this is SGN. I'm John Krasinski, and if it isn't clear yet, I have absolutely no idea what I'm doing. And now for some good news.
And it was just him goofing off like he's a news reporter, and reporting just on the good news that happens like he would have like stories of like a cancer survivor, a kid, and the community coming together to help this family with this kid.
Yeah.
And just like little snippets of that. A lot of it was him just kind of goofing around, and he'd bring in the it was brilliant. He'd bring in really famous people to do the weather.
Well, I think that's as good a time as any to have a check on the weather. How's it looking out there?
Looks pretty good. Looks pretty good.
Thanks, George. We should do a check on the weather. Brad, how's it looking out there?
Looks pretty good. Yeah.
Thanks, Brad.
And all it was them looking up into the sky going, weather's good. That's all it was. It was like Brad Pitt and like George Clooney and people like that. He's like, and over to Brad Pitt for the weather.
For the weather.
You look around and you go,
looks good.
It looks good.
That's awesome.
So that
So
happened
great.
during COVID. And it was just this really, really positive and funny, just hilarious. He was hamming it up. And like every time he'd get up from his desk and he'd have like boxer shorts on instead of anything else. So audience members, if you get a chance, go check that out. I mean, the videos are all old and they stopped doing it because they got back to work. But during COVID, it was pretty brilliant. I mean, it was
some good news.
And it was just called Some Good News. And and that's the kind of thing that we should all be trying to do, right? I mean, just putting out as much positivity as we can, even, like Dr. Peterson says, even in spite of your suffering. So you're suffering, you're having a hard time, and maybe it changes your reaction to the suffering when you do a positive thing, and I would, it's a weird thing because lately I've had like guys that I work with who are adults that are opening up to me about stuff that I would never have. Like, I'm like going, whoa, man, that's pretty intense stuff. And I don't know what it is about my face that makes people want to do that, but I think being as genuine as possible is part of it. And every time they open up to me, it's usually about something that's fairly negative, and I just try to put as much of a positive spin on it as I can. And it's like, yeah, I get it, man, you're suffering, but I mean, what else are you going to do? What else can we do?
Yeah. And that's kind of to Jordan Peterson's point is, and he talks, one of his, I think this was probably my first exposure. It was a lecture he did, I'm going to forget where, but my first exposure to Jordan Peterson, he talked about how he knew a guy that had been in a motorcycle accident and could barely kind of walk, kind of hobble around.
Mm-hmm.
And he worked with the power line company to kind of fix power lines. And his partner was a guy with cerebral palsy. And they both just kind of had their shortcomings, but then they kind of complemented each other to like
on their strengths,
do these jobs to keep the power line in like the freezing cold. And he's like, how amazing is it that all of us all over are just these, non-perfect, like, people that go out and like make things work, and hallelujah, the lights are on. And everything works. It's a miracle, right? It's a miracle that all of this, we all as imperfect human beings are all making this work.
So those two guys, I remember that story where they one had one deficiency, the other one had another deficiency, but together they
kind of
made like a fully formed human being who could actually go out and get something done. That is a pretty amazing story. That and it goes again, it's like, okay, this is what I've been dealt with. Maybe I should be grateful for the good things that I've been given. And I'm pretty bad about it. I don't know about you, but I tend to find negative in most things, and it's a character flaw. I need to get better at it. The great thing about Cody is he's always pretty positive, that's what makes him fun to be around, is because he's always kind of upbeat and positive about everything.
So it probably goes to a little bit to his fame, but I mean, and this kind of going back to that, like you're saying, the gratitude helps us exude something that kind of changes the world around us. I'm in sales, so and I've heard this said to thrown around a bit in the sales community, and that is that we don't see the world as it is, we see the world as we are. And obviously, if you have a bad attitude and you go in to, try to make a sale, then
you're not going to make a sale.
People just don't want to work with you. They don't want to deal with that. And so, and I got this from Konstantin Kissin.
Trigonometry.
He's the guy from the
trigonometry.
Trigonometry,
Trigonometry is what it's
trigonometry. And he talked about how they did this study where they wanted women to come in, and they wanted to, they told the women that they were doing this study to see how people react to people with like facial disfigurements. And so what they would do is they put makeup on these women and showed them, like basically at a glance, showed them the scar or whatever disfigurement they put on their face, and showed them a mirror. It's like, okay, here's the scar that you have, and you're going to go into this interview and report to us how you felt like you were treated. And then they're like, before they left, they're, oh, whoa, wait a minute, we got to touch this up. And when they went to go touch it up, they actually removed all the makeup for the scar.
So the subject matter thinks that they have this hideous scar on their face, and they're going into an interview when in fact they don't have it.
They do not have a scar, but like a majority of them actually reported feeling
inadequate,
that the interviewer even was making comments to them, was basically noticing so there was nothing there for them to see, but these people were actually projecting and finding that this person was being less than benevolent to them because they thought they had this scar on. It's a brilliant, like, just thinking
it goes back
how that affects our lives.
Yeah, it goes back to the saying, and it's like a platitude. I wish you could see yourself the way I see you. It's like a love platitude. I wish you could. I wish you could see yourself the way I see you. And that's how people don't see themselves as being grand, great, or people are insecure. People are, even the jock from high school who had it all, you talk to him and he's probably super insecure and just making shit up as he goes,
Well, it just goes back to, we're all imperfect, and we're living in an imperfect world, and we're all in this mess together trying to figure this stuff out.
Yeah.
And so when you adopt an attitude of gratitude, not only does your physiology, because we were talking about
because you're projecting
this
out
doctor,
and
your physiology can change.
Yeah.
But if you have a bad attitude, you actually can project that out on the world around you.
Yeah.
Right. Was
That's
that person really being horrible to me? Or
my
was I just
perception
finding
of
it?
Yeah.
Was I just seeing it? Or was I, or maybe even like, I mean, digging for it, right? Like if you internalize that
if you
hate
think that
or whatever,
yeah.
and
if you think this scar on my face is hideous, then you're just gonna look at other people and think that they're noticing it.
Yeah.
Perception is really hard to explain to people. I have my daughter has some issues with boys at her school, right? She feels like they're always being mean to her and stuff like that. Well, and then I often try to tell her, like, are they just being boys? Are they just being rowdy and joking around? Or are they actually being mean? Now, it's probably both. They're probably at some points being mean and some points just joking around. But her perception, because the few times that they've been really mean to her, her perception is they're always mean to her.
Mm-hmm.
So I think our perceptions of that, and if we could adopt, if it wasn't so hard to be grateful for the things that we have, if we were able to do that better, this world would be amazing. If everybody was kind of like, oh, I need to be grateful for this. And then you see it, and you all, and then you like being around that person that's always grateful and always kind of, because gratitude, I think, would actually project happiness too. It's kind of coincides with happiness, I would say.
Yeah. Well, in most studies that they looked at, I had this up. Studies have found that a single act of thoughtful gratitude produces an immediate 10% increase in happiness and a 35% reduction in depressive symptoms. Right?
Yeah.
That's pretty good. Like, not only is that's almost a 50% change of overall well-being.
Yeah.
It's a 45% change if you add the 10% increase in happiness and the 35% reduction in depressive symptoms. That's a 45% change in overall well-being. It's almost 50%. So if you,
well, I have an anecdote about this that this is interesting. You'll like this story. So in the spring, usually for Mother's Day, we go and get a bunch of flowers for our flower garden, right? For my wife, and and she usually goes with us because she likes to pick out what she likes, and we had some kind of argument, and we weren't feeling great about each other, and we got to the flower place, and we're going about doing our thing, and our kids were with us and everything, and there's this really old gentleman who's in a walker, and he's just kind of puttering along to get different flowers. My wife notices him, and my wife's parents are elderly. Our mother is elderly, and my wife's natural nature is to be generous, and so she tells me, let's help out this old man, and I'm kind of like, well, I don't want to approach it. And like, what if he wants to just do it himself? But she goes ahead and just approaches him and goes, hey, can we help you out? Can we hold the box and you pick what you want and you put it in the box? Because he's in a walker. He's on a walk. So he can't hold the box at the same time that he's, walking through it's like it's a one of those big places that has a bunch of flowers and everything. So we do this. And then we help him into his car. He pays for it, and we help him into his car, and he drives away, and he thanks us a bunch. And we both felt really good afterwards. And it was this moment where we had been arguing before and now we weren't arguing anymore. And so it kind of lifted the whole day, right? Just by helping out this person.
Yeah.
That, you know, he probably could have done it himself, but it was just nice. And he kept thanking us and, oh, you guys are so sweet. And he's like, I only need a couple of things. And, you know, I just got a little garden and you know, and all this kind of stuff. And it was just this sweet moment. And I often think of like the all the problems of life, and we're all kind of focused in on our problems. What if we're attracting more problems by being so focused on our problems? And then that's where this gratitude thing comes in, right? If you're grateful.
Well, and you with the single act of kindness, I mean, spoiler, coming up in the month of December, we're gonna review the movie Klaus, Christmas movie, right? And in that, it talks about how a single act of kindness, what does he say? Could change. A single act of kindness spurs on another. That's what it is. And then another person, single act of kindness until the whole city is completely transformed because people are being kind to one another. So
yeah. I guess we can bring it home. I think if everybody was
happy Thanksgiving, everyone.
Yeah. Happy Thanksgiving. Yeah.
And be grateful on Black Friday as well.
Yeah. Yeah. Just, let's not kill anybody on Black Friday. How about that? I don't think that's too much to ask for. I mean, yeah, if we could all be a little bit more grateful, maybe that, the world would be a better place. On that note, we are on Spotify and Apple Podcasts. We are also, or just look for the Sword in the Skull. We are also on, obviously on YouTube. If you're watching this, please
Twitter,
check out
at Brothers V Random.
Yes, please check us out on social media. We're pretty much on all the platforms. We don't post as much as we should, but you know, Thanksgiving is a time for gratitude, and I'm grateful that we have them, and I'm grateful for this show, and
grateful for our 500 subscribers. Thank you for being part of our audience. We appreciate you.
Yes, gratitude again. Keep reading, keep listening, keep watching, learn more. We'll see you, brother.
See ya.